It's been a year since I've done a tier list on the channel, guys, and this is the old tier list I had. I mean, I put Bomb Blitz in garbage tier, and you can see the farm upgrades up in S tier, and Inferno Ring is still in D tier, so it's nice to see that some stuff hasn't changed. But a lot of stuff has actually changed, so today, I will once again be ranking every single 5th tier upgrade in Bloons TD Battles 2 on a tier list, ranging from S tier being the best, then A, B, C, D, E, F, and then Flaming Trash at the bottom. If you're in Flaming Trash tier, guys, it's not looking good for your upgrade. You should basically never purchase the upgrade if it's in Flaming Trash, but we'll see how it goes. And as always, the comment section is free for open discussion. If you guys agree or disagree with my tier rankings, please let me know in the comment section down below. Don't roast me too hard though, I read every single comment. But now on to the tier list. Alright, starting off hot here with one of my favorite 5th tiers in the entire game. Yes, we got the BMA, ladies and gentlemen. Now the BMA is the 5th tier bottom path on the Alchemist, and it can instantly one-shot down ZOMGs into red balloons. It also can work out pretty well against DTs and stuff. Now, most of the time with the BMA, you actually just won't keep it on the track. You'll be microing it, so buying and selling it, because right when you micro it, it throws the potion immediately, and it can downgrade 2 ZOMGs with it. So with a strategy like Bolt, Alchemist, and Spike Factory, which kind of weakens ZOMGs, it can be pretty effective. Most other Lotus with Alchemist, you pretty much never use this. Like with Ninja Alchemist Farm and Ninja Alch Lotus, it's pretty much never used. It's only used with Bolt Alch. So because of that, even though it's a decent upgrade for Bolt Alch, most of the time when you're bringing Alchemist, you never use this. So I think I'm gonna put it into C tier. But should I take into account the 4th tier upgrades is the question. Because BMA itself is probably a C or a D tier, C or D tier 5th tier, but Rubber to Gold, the 4th tier upgrade, is very, very strong right now, guys. Like extremely strong right now, because it's just used left, right, and center. You make so much money from Rubber to Gold. You make money from Synth Balloons, you make money from AI Balloons. So if I was taking into account the 3rd tier and below, this would probably be like A tier path, but I think we'll only do 5th tiers in today's video. I'll only think about the 5th tier upgrades. I think that makes sense. It'd be a little bit too complicated if I like took into account like 3rd tiers and stuff. So we'll keep it in C. All right, next one, the Monkey Wall Street. The Monkey Wall Street is has always been a really good farming upgrade. I mean, you build it up at the end of the round, you get the 10k instantaneously. Helps you scale your farms a lot into the late game, and then obviously we know late game farm can make a ton of money. However, in the current meta, guys, you actually don't see farm as often anymore. There's got a lot of Ninja Alch eco strategies popping up. Sometimes people are going like Boomer Eco on some other maps. I'm going Bulldog Spike Factory in some maps. Farm is not super dominant in the meta right now. So lots of you would probably think, oh, Monkey Wall Street, easy S tier. It's still a great tower, don't get me wrong, still a great upgrade, but I think it's not going to be S tier. I really don't. I think it's going to be A. I think there's some upgrades. You're going to have to wait and see. I think there's some 5th tiers that are going to outclass it here in today's video. So yeah, Bomb Blitz. Okay, Bomb Blitz is actually one I wanted to re-rank, because last time I saw it, it was on the bottom tier. Now, I think since then, Bomb Blitz has been changed. So Bomb Blitz is actually really useful now, guys, because the way Bomb Blitz works is it has a passive ability that does like a bunch of damage map wide. I kind of think of it as like a Tsar Bomba. And before, you had to leak to trigger it. So a lot of the time, if you're leaking at the point where you can afford Bomb Blitz, you'd be dying. But now, it triggers right before you leak. So this is just a great way to deal with like round 28 DDT rushes with Bomb, round 28 all-out ceramic rushes. It offers a lot of help for bomb strategies on those types of rounds. So honestly, this is one of the better 5th tiers in the game. I don't know if it'd be A tier, but it definitely deserves its spot, probably in B tier. I think I'd rank it above the Bloon Master Alchemist. Bomb that's very strong right now. Mob Domination. Okay, Mob Domination's a pretty solid one. It's actually gotten buffed a lot recently. This used to be a pretty bad 5th tier as well, but Mob Domination's gotten a lot of damage buffs recently. Boomer's kind of gotten a little bit more popular in the past couple of seasons. I kind of think of Mob Domination as a mix between the Superstorm and the Avatar of Wrath. It does somewhat of the Superstorm's job in knocking back insides and knocking back DTs and stuff, but obviously not as good as the Superstorm. It does some of the Avatar of Wrath's job of dealing a bunch of damage, but not as good as Avatar of Wrath. It's kind of like a happy medium between both of them. Doesn't do the jobs as well as either of them, but it's kind of a mix of both. So I think it's still a really strong 5th tier, and if you're bringing Boomerang in your own late game, you're pretty much always going to use the Mob Domination. I think it's going to deserve a spot in B tier. Honestly, it's not a bad 5th tier at all. Not a bad 5th tier. I think some of you guys have been sleeping on the Mob Domination. Balloon Exclusion Zone. Okay, Balloon Exclusion Zone. Most of the time when I'm bringing Dartling, I'll be honest, guys, I'm only bringing Dartling, and if I'm going late game with like Dartling Village Super Ring or something, I'm not building up Balloon Exclusion Zone. I'm only building up the MAD. So because of that, I really don't think I'd rank this very high. It's not that effective for you a lot of the time when you're bringing Dartling. It's not that great late game for its price. Most of the time you have better options. And the biggest thing with it is like it costs like 60k. No, it costs more than 60k in total. Last upgrade's like 54k. It costs like 20k before that. It costs like 75k, and it can't even damage a DDT. It doesn't have lead detection. So yeah, I think this is honestly a first. I'm thinking between D and E, to be honest. I put a lot of categories on this one. I wanted a lot of categories though, because there's a lot of 5th tiers. So I think we'll put it in. I'm debating. We'll keep it in. I'm gonna put in E. Crossbow Master. Okay, Crossbow Master, 5th tier upgrade on the Dart Monkey. You rarely see people use this upgrade when you're using Dart. Dart is actually not bad anymore. It's been buffed a lot recently, so Dart's been getting a lot more use out of it. But most of the time with Dart, people are just spamming the fan clubs now. Fan clubs are so effective. Even Plasma Monkey Fan Club, normal fan club. You don't really see Crossbow Master come out too often. Crossbow Master does have a little bit of a niche for helping defend round 22 rushes. Like, it can defend a lot of BFBs, fortified BFBs, that type of stuff. It's pretty effective, but you don't see it that much. Most of the time, people are just focusing on the fan clubs or there are other towers to defend those rushes. So I don't think it's useless, but it's a very niche upgrade. Now, is it better than the Balloon Exclusion Zone, though? Is it more useful? That's a question. Crossbow Master can damage GTs. That's part of it. It does have lead popping power. And because it doesn't, Balloon Exclusion Zone doesn't, I think I'm going to rank it above it. You know, you could hate on me in the comment section down below, but I'm going to put Crossbow Master above Balloon Exclusion Zone. Avatar of Wrath. Okay, Avatar of Wrath, actually very strong upgrade. Druid's not very good right now, don't get me wrong. Druid's not very good. It's just Ninja Alch, Ninja Alch, Ninja Alch on all the maps. But if you are going Druid, Avatar of Wrath is a necessity for late game, guys. It pops BDs extremely well, especially for its price. Like, on a lot of maps, it can solo fortified BDs for like round 30 and stuff. If you have it life buffed, it's very strong. Can pop DTs as well if you have the lightning path on it. Very solid upgrade. Honestly, one of the best upgrades in the entire game. You can have a good upgrade with the tower not being good. So Druid's not that great right now, but Avatar of Wrath is a great upgrade. It's going in A tier. All right, next one is Triple XL Trap. Triple XL Trap, honestly, Trap overall is not being used that much this season. It was very good last season, but they nerfed it in the recent season where it makes less money per trap now. But Ace Farm Engineer, the previous season and some of the other seasons, Ace Farm Engineer was a meta loadout and heavily relied on the Triple XL Trap for a late game. It can insta-kill fortified ZMGs. Pretty good cleanup option. Also can make you some money. Now, comparatively, if you're comparing Triple XL Trap to like a Superstorm or like a Balloon Crush, most of the time it's going to get outclassed because you don't really make that much money from it when you need. You're mostly just using it as a defensive measure, but I don't think it can be overlooked. It's still a decent upgrade. But I'm not sure if I'd say it's as good as like a Superstorm or Balloon Crush or anything like that. I think it's going to go, thinking between C and B on this one, chat. I think we'll put it with the BMA, in all honesty. We'll put it with the BMA. That makes sense, right? Super Glue. Okay, Super Glue, pretty decent upgrade. Very, very cheap, and it is pretty much like a better Icicle Impale, in my opinion. It can stall stuff longer. It's cheaper than Icicle Impale. It also has camo detection now. One update in Battles 2, they may have camo detection, which kind of gives it a nice edge now. That was its biggest weak point. So, because of that, Super Glue's, even though Glue Gunner overall is not a fantastic tower right now, Super Glue is a pretty solid upgrade, I've got to say. I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put it in B tier. A lot of these like cleanup stall towers are super useful in Battles 2, like Super Glue, Icicle Impale, Superstorm, Master Bomber. A lot of those stall towers are super useful in this game. What is this? Comanche Defense? Comanche Commander? Comanche Commander is honestly not that great. I go Heli strategies all the time, like Heli Ice Village, Ninja Alchemist Heli, and I never really prioritize buying this upgrade. It's always just buy Apaches or buy Apache Prime. I don't think this upgrade's really that good of a bang for your buck, comparatively to some of the other options you have in Heli loadouts. So because of that, I still think it has a spot in the loadouts. It's just not great, you know? I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna put this in E with Bez. I think E is a fine spot for it. All right, Icicle Impale. As I said earlier, I think it's pretty much just a worse Super Glue. It's still not bad at all. Icicle Impale still is pretty solid. I think comparatively to Super Glue, it costs more. It has more pierce, but slows less. That's like the differences. I think we'll put it in C tier. C tier. If I'm putting Super Glue in B, I think Icicle Impale in C tier makes sense. Yeah. Flying Fortress. Okay, Flying Fortress, actually a pretty solid upgrade. The nice part about it is it does insane damage. It's pretty expensive, but pairing it with like an overclock or something, it's pretty dang strong. You can also micro it. So if you know good ace micro, you can micro it to like pierce through the entire rush. It ends up being like, super effective if you do that. So, and it was part of like a meta strategy for a long time ace farm engineer. It's one of the better 5th tiers in my opinion. I'm putting it in an A tier. It definitely deserves a spot up there with the Avatar of Wrath as a strong 5th tier. Trade Empire. Okay, Trade Empire. You don't really see this come out too often. Only a couple strategies use boat farms, and the only strategy I can really think of right now using boat farms is like boat Alchemist Spike Factory. I guess some people go like Dartling Alch boat on basalt columns as well, so that's another boat strategy. But most of the time, you're only using Trade Empire late, and the money generation is solid. Don't get me wrong, but it's worse than farm. It's still a decent farming method though. I don't want to spam stuff in C tier is the thing. I don't want to spam stuff in C tier, but I feel like this is a C tier upgrade. Like, boat farms in general aren't bad because they obviously offer defensive support, and you have the boat to help you deal with rushes as well. And boat is used on a decent amount of maps over farm. That's I think C tier. Yeah, C tier's fine. C tier's fine. Sub Commander, okay. Sub Commander, guys, I'll be honest. I have tried using this upgrade in a couple of videos. I've tried doing like a full map of Sub Commander and armor piercing darts and like getting super brittle with it, home and defense. It's a bad upgrade. I don't care. Like, you can try giving it all the buffs in the world. It still does not really do anything for your late game. With Submarine, you pretty much never go for this upgrade. It goes in the flaming trash category. It's the first flaming trash category, guys. It's terrible. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you guys like the Sub Commander. It's not good. What is this? Monkeyopolis? Monkeyopolis? Pretty much you never... So it's funny because in BT6, Monkeyopolis is a fantastic upgrade, right? You spam farms around it, you sacrifice them all, you make a ton of money. In Battles 2, that farming method is awful. Most of the time, you can't even go a farm village loadout because then you only have one defensive tower. But if you do have a farm village loadout, you actually never use Monkeyopolis. It's just better to spam farms normally. It's not even worth to go for this guy. So the only time you actually go for Monkeyopolis, believe it or not, is with eco loadouts because it does make you a little bit of money per round with an eco strategy. But overall, it's pretty useless. But since it does have a use with eco loadouts, it's more useful than Sub Commander. So we're putting it in F tier. Putting it in F tier. It's not very good, but it's more useful than Sub Commander. All right, next one is Blue Incineration. Ooh, Blue Incineration is an interesting one. Mortar has been a meta tower for a long time and heavily relies on the Blue Incineration. Blue Incineration is great late game because it can defortify ZMGs or defortify fortified ZMGs into normal ZMGs, which helps out a ton. It can defortify fortified DDTs as well. It's a really good DDT defender. Has pretty solid damage against bads as well late game. You can micro it, it's a decamo. It's just got a lot of things going for it, to be honest. It's a little bit expensive. It costs like $50,000 in total, but I think it does a fair job for its price. And yeah, I think this is honestly an A tier. I think it deserves A, yeah. Blue Incineration is extremely good. Master Bomber. Master Bomber is always an interesting one. Master Bomber, very, very good upgrade. It can stall ZMGs a long time for you late game. It's got pretty solid damage with its bombs it throws on them. It's a great ceramic defender as well. It just offers Ninja Alch a lot of things. And obviously, with Ninja Alch being the meta loadout right now inside of Hall of Masters and Battles 2, Master Bomber, that helps Master Bomber's rating quite a bit. Now, does it help it enough for it to be an S tier upgrade is the question of the day. Or should it stick in the A tier? Since Alchemist, Ninja Alch is the meta right now, I think it's gonna go S tier, to be honest. Master Bomber, fantastic upgrade. I mean, there isn't really many weaknesses to it, you know? It's great. What is this, Elite Defender? I made a video on Elite Defender recently, and it actually surprised me in how effective it was. In most cases, Elite Defender is not that good, but if you have like a Zeli or Smudgecast Zeli paired with it, and you can use the totem to activate the like 4 times attack speed, Elite Defender is very, very effective for its price. It only costs like $20K, so it's one of the cheaper 5th tiers, and definitely has its spot defensively if you're using Sniper. You can use it and have some success with it. So I don't really want to spam stuff in the C tier though, is the thing. I think it goes in a similar spot to the Crossbow Master, right? That makes sense. Crossbow Master, Elite Defender, kind of similar spot. It should go in the top of D. I mean, I just said a bunch of good things about it, but do I ever use Elite Defender most of the time with Sniper? No, but it definitely has situations where it can be used. So I think D is fair. Permaspike, I use Spike Factor a decent bit. I don't really use Permaspike much, but there's definitely some Spike Factory loads that rely on Permaspike for late game. It can pretty much solo infinite DTs if you get a good spike pile going. And you also can solo a ton of ceramics, so very good at that. The only weakness is if they send you like a fortified BAD, and the fortified BAD gets popped down, all the spikes will just get ruined by the inside. So, but definitely is great against ceramics and DTs. So, I think it's a pretty solid upgrade. I think C tier for this makes sense. C tier for permaspike makes sense, right? Yeah. What is this? Legend of the Night? Legend of the Night has been balance changed a lot recently. It used to cost $240,000 and do pretty insane damage, but they lowered the damage significantly, made it cost $100,000 and changed how the portal works a little bit. It can still tank a fortified BAD, but overall, Super Monkey is not that good right now, guys. And if you were to go Super Monkey, if I were to go Super Monkey, I pretty much wouldn't buy this upgrade. I would just spam Sun Avatars and stuff late game. That's how you normally do it with Super Monkey. Unless you're in like Bonanza mode or something. If you're in Bonanza mode and you have infinite money, then sure, go for Legend of the Night. But in most cases, I'm never buying this guy. So, and I don't think he's worth to buy in most cases. There are those clutch situations where you can get him last second to save yourself, which definitely gives it to use. So that's why I'm not going to put in Flaming Trash, but it's definitely not fantastic. It's going to go in F category. F category, I think, is pretty standard for that, right? That makes sense. What is this, Tax Zone? Okay. Listen, I'm probably gonna get some hate on this, but I've ran the numbers, guys. Tax Zone in Battles 2 is pretty garbage. It's actually more efficient, even if you have 0 damage buffs, it's more efficient to spam overdrives against a fortified BAD than build a Tax Zone. And then when you mix in damage buffs, you mix in pierce buffs from the village, all that stuff, it makes Tax Zone even worse comparatively. Most of the time, if I'm going like Tac Glue Village, for example, I'm never buying a Tax Zone. I'm just spamming overdrives, getting my Glue Storm up, getting my primary expertise up, home and defense, all of that. I'm not buying the Tax Zone. It's just not worth. I honestly think they need to buff this tower or rework it in some way. Most of the time, you just want to spam overdrives over the Tax Zone. It's going in the F category. It honestly might... Okay, you guys probably gonna hate me for this. I think it goes in Flaming Trash category, to be honest, guys. It's that bad. It's literally that bad. It's better just to go for overdrives pretty much every single time. It's going in Flaming Trash. I don't care. All right, so here's my current list. Let me see if I want to edit anything. Right now, I think everything looks pretty good. As far as I can see. Honestly, thinking of moving Boat Farms to B tier. Boat Farms aren't bad. Let's go Boat Farms in B tier. Yeah. Boat Farms definitely are pretty solid. Lots of strategies use boat farms right now. All right, next one, Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness is pretty solid. Even though Wizard's not very good right now, Prince of Darkness is definitely always used with Wizard. It's a very, very cheap DDT defender, especially on some of the harder maps where you don't have very much track length. You can rely on the Prince of Darkness, and it does its job pretty well. So, because of that, I think Prince of Darkness definitely C tier. Yeah, C tier. Ooh, here is one I wanted to rank. This is one I've been looking forward to. Total Transformation, guys. Total Transformation right now inside of the Ninja Alch meta is unbelievably strong. Because the way Total Transformation works, guys, is if you have a ninjas buffed by a bunch of Shinobi stacks, the Shinobi stacks help the transformed ninjas when they get transformed. It like helps the speed of them. And then you can mix Perma-Brew in there, and it's just a crazy time. Total Transformation right now, absolutely fantastic 5th tier. Has insane damage. It works well in the meta. There's not really much complaints to it. It's honestly an S tier. Like, it's funny because you got Ninja Alch at S tier, but that's just the way it is right now, guys. It's an S tier upgrade. Monkeyopolis. Okay, Monkeyopolis, honestly, very underrated farming tower. I've been using it a lot lately. You can pretty much substitute it for the Monkey Wolf. If you get a Monkeyopolis at the start of round 24, guys, you're sitting pretty with your farms. Because you get a lot of abilities. They buffed it recently where it's only a 50-second cooldown instead of a 60-second cooldown. So you're getting $20,000 every 50 seconds, plus the interest you build inside of it. Definitely underrated farming. Now, is it as good as the Monkey Wall Street? Monkey Wall Street, I still think, has a little bit of an edge on Monkeyopolis, but both have their own place inside the game for sure. It's going to go in A tier, I think. But it's going to go in the bottom of A tier. Let's put it there. Moab Eliminator. Okay, Moab Eliminator. Bomb has been historically one of the meta towers inside the game. Now this season you don't see Bomb that much in the Ninja Alch meta, but Bomb has always had a pretty strong standing with the cluster bombs and everything. And if you're going late game, you want that Mob Eliminator up to help you a little bit with the BADs. It's not a can't upgrade. You can't really micro it. You kind of just set it down and spam the ability and let it do its thing. But it's definitely useful late game. But most of the time you're relying on first strikes, and this kind of just a little bit of a support for you. So And I don't think it's near as good as the Avatar of Wrath. Like, comparing it to Avatar of Wrath is 10 times better than Mob Eliminator. But is as good as a Mob Domination? I don't think so. I think we'll put it in... I think it's better than the D tiers. I think we'll put it in C tier. C tier makes sense for that, right? What is this, Permacharge? Permacharge, you don't really see it come out too often. I've used it a couple of times with, if I'm going like a Boomer Mortar loadout, like Boomer Mortar Farm, for example, or Boomer Mortar Engineer, which are two very popular Boomer loadouts. You do kind of use Permacharge late game to help you out with BADs, but it's not that great. The only reason you use it is because you don't really have very many good BAD answers with those loadouts. So it's definitely has spots where it's used in, but it's not that good, you know. So I think E tier makes sense for this. Mob Domination is definitely a lot better 5th tier than a Permacharge right now. Ooh, MAD still a pretty solid 5th tier upgrade. The nicest part about the MAD is not only does it do crazy BAD popping power, similar to how the Avatar of Wrath is, but it works on most maps quite effectively, right? You can target it across the entire map. So you don't need a map specific for the MAD to be effective for you. And obviously, it has the ability, which helps you out a ton. So, MAD, honestly, I don't think it's S tier. It's not S tier. It probably was S tier when the game came out. And everyone was using Dartling left, right, and center. But it's definitely an A tier, 5th tier. MAD is pretty dang strong. It deserves an A tier spot, I think. Plasma Monkey Fan Club. Okay, Plasma Monkey Fan Club transforms 20 darts, shoots at an insane rate. Got a buff recently where like the main dart does like 7 damage now, which is pretty crazy. And dart's actually a pretty popular tower right now too. It's a pretty good tower. If you're going late game with dart, you're gonna definitely be using the Plasma Monkey Fan Club every single time. While the other 5th tiers in the dart, I can't really say the same. So because of that, I definitely have to give it a pretty solid rating. I honestly think I'm thinking a B tier on this. You guys might think this is an overrating, I think, but you guys might think this is an overrating for it, but I think B tier for Plasma Monkey Fan Club is fair. Definitely is pretty strong. Yeah, throw it in B tier. Throw it in B tier. How about that, lads? Spirit of the Forest. Okay, Spirit of the Forest, not that good anymore. In the past, it was excellent. When Druid was meta, it did 20 damage. It destroyed DDTs. It was pretty strong late game. Was fantastic. Now, it does less damage. It makes you a little bit less money. Still not a bad upgrade at all. Still has its spot with Druid loadouts, but Druid's not very popular right now anyways. With Druid not being in the meta and with the nerfs it's received, I think it's gonna go in C tier here. I think C tier is fine for it because you still want to build up sometimes with Druid. It's still not bad. Like it could defend BFB, it can defend round 22 all out for Druid. Like if they spam BFBs, fortified BFBs at you, you're building up a Spirit of the Forest. There's no questions about it, but it's not what it once was, you know? Ultra Boost. Okay, Ultra Boost, honestly, it was used a little bit last season with like Ace Farm Engineer. You'd sometimes go for an Ultra Boost, but it's not that great. It costs like $100,000, and most of the time you're not gonna be able to get that many stacks out of it inside of a game. Like $100,000, if you can stack 5 times on something, you're buffing it by 66%. So economically speaking, like you need $150,000 of a tower if you're doing the math, you know what I mean? So most of the time, it's not worth it to go for. It's just too expensive, and you have to build it up before they rush you, which is not very good in battles too most of the time. So it's still not useless though. I still think it's probably better than Legend of the Night and Monkeyopolis. I think E tier is a fine ranking for the Ultra Boost tier. E tier makes sense, right? Let me just look at this list real quick. See, well, we got everything. Yeah, this makes sense for me. All right, we got a couple. We're getting through this. I think we're about halfway through, maybe. I'm not sure. Glue Storm, excellent upgrade, guys. This is honestly probably Glue's best upgrade. Map wide +2 damage against a rush is fantastic. All the other debuffs are centralized, like Super Brittle, only over small area. Cripple Moab, only over the couple of BADs that it's shooting at, right? If you have the shrapnel on it. Glue Storm, over the entire map, everything's getting +2 damage, which can't be understated. That is so helpful. With strategies like Tack Glue Village, it's fantastic. Sometimes people go in Heli Glue strategies as well in Hole Masters. It's great. Honestly, I think this deserves an A tier spot. Fantastic upgrade. Glue Storm's great. Special Population. Special Population is an interesting one. 5th tier bottom path on the Heli, or middle path on the Heli. Not only do you make $8,000 from the crate, it also drops the Marine, which can be extremely helpful defensively. I use this guy a lot to help defend like round 22 rushes with Heli loadouts, and it's pretty nice. You know, the Marine does its job. So yeah, I think I think this is, where do I want to put it though? The thing is though, late game, you never really want to go for this guy. It's not very effective late game. It's mostly a mix of a farming and defensive tower, right? So, because it doesn't really help you out late game at all, but it does have a spot mid game. Does it go in B? Nah, I think it goes in C. C tier makes sense for this. C tier makes sense for this. I think it's comparable to a Spear of the Forest and the way it works. I think it's decently comparable to Spear of the Forest. Absolute Zero? Okay, Absolute Zero is an interesting one. They buffed it recently where I think it has like a longer duration for how long it buffs your ice towers. But the thing about it is most of the time buffing the ice tower's attack speed doesn't really do much for you because ice is just a support tower in your loadout. It's not really damaging everything in late game. And late game is when you're going to be using the Absolute Zero, obviously, since it's a 5th tier upgrade. So most of the time with ice, I'm never using Absolute Zero. I might be using Snowstorm or Arctic Wind sometimes in the mid game to slow down rushes and stuff, but I don't think Absolute Zero is really worth it at all. I honestly think this goes in... No, it's not Flaming Trash. It's not Flaming Trash. I'll still buy Absolute Zero over a Sub Commander, but I think F tier makes sense for this. It's not a very good upgrade, guys. It's not a very good upgrade. Tsar Bomba. Okay, Tsar Bomba is an interesting one. If you're going Ace against like DDT or BFB holdouts, or like if they send you a ZOMG, for example, and you have Ace, you're gonna pop it down with ODSs, and then you're gonna ground zero the insides. If they're sending you big DT holdouts, you might go for a Tsar Bomba. Tsar Bomba is kind of like a get out of jail free card for Ace players. So it's definitely useful. Now, is it as good as a Bomb Blitz? Because Bomb Blitz and Tsar Bomba kind of serve a similar purpose. They're like get out of jail free cards against DDTs or like big BFB rushes. Which one is better is the question of the day. I think Tsar Bomba is more expensive. But the thing is, Tsar Bomba, you can micro it. Bomb Blitz, you have to wait till the stuff gets to the end of the map. Or Tsar Bomba, you can just buy and sell it and do a lot of damage. It can also help you out for round 30 ZMG holdouts. I think Bomb Blitz is overall a little bit better, but Tsar Bomba still can't be overlooked, you know? Let's go in B or C. I'm gonna put it in C. I think C is fine for it. C is not bad. Pirate Lord. I use Pirate Lord all the time with boat. Good against CMGs. You can micro it to boat pull 3 DTs at a time. Late game, I never really use Pirate Lord because I most of the time just micro BMA instead. But it's definitely not useless. Now, how useful is it actually? Defensively, it doesn't really do much for you, is the thing. You're only buying it for the ability. Like, it pops basically no balloons for you for how much you're spending on it. So, you can't really think of it as a defensive option. You only think of it as a microable ability. But its micro purposes are decent. I don't think it's as good as a BMA, but I think it's still useful for sure. I think C tier makes sense for it. C tier makes sense for it. Sub Commander, not Sub Commander, Preemptive Strike. Okay. I'm sorry, Submarine. This goes in Flaming Trash as well. Like, if you're going sub, guys, you're not buying the 5th tiers pretty much ever. The reason you go Submarine is for the reactor, for the ballistic missile. Sometimes you get armor piercing darts in the mid game, and the first strike capability. The 5th tiers on the sub are pretty trash. You're not really buying them ever. It's not good. Don't go for a preemptive strike. It's just not good. It's just the way it is. Homeland defense. Homeland defense. Even though Village is not very good right now, Village isn't really used in the meta. It hasn't been used in the meta a long time. Homeland defense has always stood out as one of the best upgrades in the entire game. It's pretty expensive. Don't get me wrong. Costs like 80,000 in total. But doubling the attack speed and the pierce of all the monkeys across the entire map for like 18 seconds can't be overlooked. It's a fantastic support upgrade for your defense. It's definitely an S tier. Definitely S tier. I think Homeland defense will always be an A or an S tier upgrade. It's just the way it is, you know? What is this? Pop and Awe? Pop and Awe. Great mortar upgrade. Stuns DDTs for you. But the biggest thing with Pop and Awe, guys, and the biggest reason why I'm going to give a good ranking, is that it buffs your artillery battery's damage. And a lot of loadouts rely on artillery battery spam with Striker Jones for late game. And because of that, I'm giving it a solid B. Yeah, B rating. B rating. I don't think it's as good as Blue Incineration most of the time, but buffing your artillery batteries across the entire map makes Mortar late game possible with some strategies. So B rating makes sense for this guy. All right, we got Grand Saboteur here. Okay, Grand Saboteur, you do use it late game with Ninja Alk, and Ninja Alk's obviously the meta right now. It damages everything for a while. They updated recently where it soaks through layers of slowing down, so definitely useful. I don't think it's that great though, because it does have a global cooldown, so like you can't micro it and just have everything Grand Saboteur all the time. But it's useful for sure. Now, it's definitely not S tier. I think I'm put Grand Sabo in B tier. Just because it is Ninja Alch meta, and Ninja Alch meta always goes late game. This upgrade's pretty much always used, but it's not as good as the other upgrades for sure. I think B tier makes sense for a Grand Saboteur right now. If it wasn't Ninja Alch meta, this would probably be a low rating, but in the current meta, it's decently useful. Elite Sniper. Elite Sniper's always been, in my eyes, one of the better upgrades. Pretty solid farm. You make 750 equivalent eco in Elite Sniper. But the biggest thing about the Elite Sniper, guys, and why I like it, is that comparatively like Druid farms or like support Chinooks, it is different because you can sell all of your defense when you build it up. If you're building up an Elite Sniper, you can sell all of your current defense and put that money into farms as well, because it will defend pretty much everything you need it to. If you just get a 2 upgrades on top path with this guy, it's great. And honestly, I think it deserves an A tier spot. Great sniper upgrade. If you're using sniper, you're pretty much going for this upgrade at some point of the game every single time. Elite Sniper's great. Our next one is the Carpet of Spikes. Middle path 5th tier on the Spike Factory. Great against BAD's late game. Covers entire map of spikes. Has the passive spike spawn ability and the automatic one. If I'm going Bulldog Spike Factory, I'm definitely building this up late game if it's going to be fortified bads. One of the best BAD pop and power towers in the game for sure. I'm going to give it... Now, is it as good as some... Yeah, it's definitely better than the Perma Spike, I think, in most cases. I'm going to give it B tier rating. I think B tier rating makes sense for the Carpet Spikes. I don't think it's as good as like an MAD, but it's solid for sure. Anti-Balloon, okay, it's the same kind of spiel with the Dark Champion, or with the Legend of the Night with the Anti-Balloon. If you're going Super Monkey, most of the time you're just not building these guys up. It's just not worth it. And the only time you would be building this guy up is if you had like infinite money in like a super late game in Bonanza. It's not good in the meta. If you're competitively playing, you're just not building this guy up. It's F tier. Super Monkey's just not very good right now. Is the deal with it? Super Maelstrom. Super Maelstrom's actually pretty solid though. On the contrary, if you're going TAC and they're sending you like a big round 22 rush or like a fortified ZMG, you're using Super Maelstrom against the insides. No doubt about it. Super Maelstrom, super useful. See what I did there? Can't sleep on this guy. It's a lot better than Tax Zone for sure. I think Super Maelstrom deserves a solid B tier rating. It's definitely got its place in the meta. I use it all the time. Wizard Lord Phoenix. Okay, Wizard Lord Phoenix actually did get a pretty significant buff recently, where it has like 55 damage instead of 40 damage now. Now, Wizard overall hasn't been used very much, but I do think Wizard Lord Phoenix is kind of slept on. It is definitely kind of slept on. I probably put it up here with Prince of Darkness. I think if you're going late game with Wizard and you're trying to defend stuff around 30 plus, you're definitely going for Wizard Lord Phoenix. It's actually doing a pretty good job for you too, so we're going for that. Permabrew. Okay, this is one I've been waiting to rank. Permabrew, very, very good in the current meta. But the question is how good? Is it S tier good or is it A tier good? Does it deserve a spot with the Total Transformation, the Master Bomber? Does it deserve a spot with the rest of these mortals? The biggest thing with the Permabrew is that a lot of the time with Ninja Alch, you're going Heli with it, and you can move the Permabrew around the map, so you can literally Permabrew the entire map of stuff. And then your entire map's getting +2 damage, extra pierce, extra attack speed, lead popping power. I think in the current meta, this is an S tier upgrade for sure. I think so. I think it deserves an S tier spot. Banana Central, I would say is the best farm 5th tier. Better than Monkey Wall Street, better than Monkeyonomics, because it buffs your BRFs for late game. So if you have the Banana Central up, all of your Banana Research Facilities late game have +20% income, which is extremely helpful. So if you're going late game with farm, this is the guy that carries your farm late game. This is the guy that lets you scale your money a ton. Banana Central, honestly, I think it goes top of S tier as well. I think it does. Banana Central goes top of S tier. I gave it to him. Balloon Crush. Okay, Balloon Crush. I probably have given this S tier last season, but this season bomb's being used a lot less. Still a great upgrade. Fantastic. Defends pretty much infinite DTs. Defends ZOMGs for you late game. All you can do is pop the BAD layer down, and then you got the Balloon Crush to deal with all of the insides. I don't think it's S tier though, but I think it's a solid A tier pick. I think A tier makes sense for this, for sure. What is this? More Mob Dominate? No, it's not Mob Domination. It's Glaive Lord. Glaive Lord's the name. Okay. Glaive Lord, Boomer 5th tier. It's pretty garbage. I don't know last time I've used one of these guys with Boomerang. The only like niche it has is that it can pretty much defend infinite ceramics round 28 for Boomerang. But besides that, it's It's pretty trash, guys. It's not good at all. It goes in the flaming trash category. I don't care. Glaive Lord's not good in battles too. It's just not. Ray of Doom. Okay. Ray of Doom, honestly, not very good either. If you're going late game with Dartling, you're really not building up a Bez or a Ray of Doom most of the time. And if I was deciding on between building up a Bez or Ray of Doom late game with Dartling, most of the time I'd build up a Bez unless they're all outing with ZMGs. If they're sending a big all-out ZMG rush at you and you have Dartling, I think Ray of Dooms definitely has its spot. And because it's useful for that circumstance, I think it's got a better rating than the Bez. I think we're putting on D tier. I think D tier for Ray of Doom makes sense. It definitely has a use. It helps you out a lot for round 30 ZMGs with Dartling. But besides that, it's pretty useless. Ultra Juggernaut. Most of the time I'm going Dart. I never really build up this upgrade. It can be helpful sometimes for sure. Pretty good against round 22 all outs just to pretty much clean up infinite ceramics. It's really cheap as well, so gotta take that into the rating. But late game, you don't really ever build this guy up. And most times I go Dart, I don't really build him up either. I think it's similar use case scenarios to Crossbow Master. We'll probably put it, yeah, pretty much the same rating. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Superstorm. Okay, Superstorm, fantastic upgrade. It got buffed recently where it's only 55k now. But probably one of Druid's best upgrades. I think this is up there in the rating with the Balloon Crush. It's honestly interchangeable with the Balloon Crush. The advantages of the Balloon Crush is that Balloon Crush can handle more DTs because it has a lot more Pierce. And Balloon Crush doesn't really choke as much. Superstorm sometimes chokes and can get overrun by DTs, but Superstorm has inherent camo detection and it blows stuff back instead of stunning it. And blowing stuff back is more useful for sure. So, but both of them could be ranked interchangeably for sure, but they both serve a very similar purpose. All right, our next one, guys, is the Sentry Champion. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably think this upgrade absolutely sucks. It's not that great, but it actually has some solid BD popping power, especially because you can actually overclock it since you already have the engineer in your loadout if you're bringing this. And if you overclock it, you're putting down a lot more sentries. Like, overclocking the Sentry Champion makes this guy place a lot more of his actual upgrade sentries, and then obviously it does more damage overall. And on strong targeting with deconstruction, it actually has some pretty solid BD popping power. So I'd say this upgrade is pretty underrated, to be honest. Now, how underrated is it actually? I'd put it above Ultra Boost for sure. Now, I don't know if it deserves C tier underrated, or if it's just gonna stick in D. I think we'll keep it in D tier. D, like, it's not a great upgrade still, obviously, but it's not bad at all, you know? Well, maybe C. No, we'll do D. We'll do D. Top of D tier though. Top of D tier. Balloon Solver. Okay, Balloon Solver is an interesting one. Most of the time when I'm going glue with like Takaloo Village, the Balloon Solver is not very useful to me, but Takaloo Village doesn't really rely on the Balloon Solver much. You have Maelstroms and all that other stuff against like tons of balloons, so you have a balloon weakness. Balloon Solver is a pretty good option. Can defend a ton of balloons, has pretty decent mold popping power as well. This is an interesting one to rank. Where did I put the other glue 5th tiers? I put Super Glue in B tier, and I put Glue Storm in A tier. I don't think it's near as good as either of those. I don't think it's bad either. I think D tier makes sense for this as well. I think D tier makes sense for the Balloon Solver too. Yes, might think it deserves a better ranking, but I think D tier, from my experience, makes sense for the Balloon Solver. What do you guys think about that one? Apache Prime. Ooh, Apache Prime's an interesting one. Okay, so Apache Prime. Believe it or not, most of the time when I'm going Heli late game, like if I'm going the strategy of Heli Ice Village, for example, which is one of the best Heli late game strategies, which relies on Heli for all your damage, I'm actually not primarily going for the Apache Prime late game. The spamming just the normal Apache Dart Ships is actually better with the Super Riddle than the Apache Prime, because the Apache Dart Ships benefit a lot more from the Super Riddle. Now, if you don't have damage buffs, then Apache Prime is your king, or you're like limited on space. So, but lots of times I'm just going for Apache instead of Apache Prime, I'll be honest. But with like Ninja Heli Alchemist, if you're like late game and you're like limited on space and stuff, then you go for the Apache Prime. So I can see situations where you go for Apache Prime for sure, but I don't know. I don't think it's gonna get a super high rating, because with damage buffs, Apache spam's better than it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Still better rating than the Comanche Commander though, for sure. Still better rating than the Comanche Commander. I think it deserves a rating similar to Special Operations. Put in C. C tier makes sense for this, I think. Ooh, Super Brittle. Okay. Super Brittle is always one that I think I'll rank high. Super Brittle, excellent upgrade. plus 4 damage, and not only it is a limited area, but on a lot of maps, if you get like the range on your super riddle, it covers a good bit of the track. So it's not the entire map like Glue Storm is, obviously, but it's still pretty strong. I think this deserves an A tier spot, up there with Glue Storm. Honestly, it could be interchangeable with Glue Storm in my opinion. They're both very solid. I'll just put it in front of it for now, but it's definitely interchangeable with Glue Storm. Very, very solid upgrade. Now, with that being said, Glue, even though Glue and Ice are not very good upgrades, towers in the meta right now, that doesn't mean their 5th tiers are bad. Glue Storm and Super Riddle are both fantastic 5th tiers. Sky Shredder, okay, Sky Shredder, guys, is pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. Definitely the worst Ace 5th tier. Most of the time I'm going Ace, or I see people going Ace. I don't ever see them going for this 5th tier. It does some decent BD popping power and DDT popping power, but it also costs a ton of money, and I don't know. With Ace, it's better just to save it for the Flying Fortress, or go normally for the other tower in your loadout. It's not really worth to go for the Sky Shredder ever. So I still do see it being used more often than the Flaming Trash category, though. I don't think it's Flaming Trash. I think it's probably a F tier upgrade. I think it's better than Flaming Trash. Carrier Flagship. Okay, Carrier Flagship, I haven't seen this upgrade used in a long time. It actually does buff all of the aces on the map, believe it or not, by like 15% attack speed. And it buffs all of your aircraft carriers damage as well, which can be pretty useful. I use this all the time when I had like Boat Ice Farm. When I was using that loadout. It can be used pretty well with Boat Ice Village as well. But besides that, on its own, it's pretty weak. The only reason you'd really buy it is to buff other stuff. And Boat late game is decently weak as well. It's not that great. So I think D tier makes sense for this upgrade. I still think it's better than EF or Flaming Trash. I think D tier makes sense here. Yeah, let's do D. Energizer. Okay, Energizer is an interesting one. Energizer. Barely ever use this upgrade, but it can have specific uses and be decent if you have Ult Eco in your loadouts. Like, say you're going a sniper strategy in your late game. You have like 20 sniper farms on the map. If you get an Energizer down, guys, your 20 sniper farms are coming back 20% faster, which can be definitely worth its price if you have a decent amount of sniper farms. Or obviously it works the same with Druid farms or Heli farms because of the abilities come back faster. Also, if you have a strategy that relies on abilities for damage late game, it can be useful. So it's very niche because you'd barely ever use it if you have sub in your loadout, but I do know some situations where it is useful with sub. And because of that, it definitely deserves to be better than Flaming Trash category. Honestly, I think it deserves to be better than the F category as well for that. I think E category is where I'd put Energizer. E category makes sense for me. Primary Expertise. Okay, Primary Expertise, interesting one for sure. Only situation where I really use this upgrade is Glue Village late game. Sometimes I've used it with Heli Ice Village if I just have tons of money, but Glue Village late game, this actually helps out the strategy a ton though, because it makes all of the early tier upgrades free, gives your textures more pierce, more range, all that stuff, and it has a pretty big range of its own, so it can buff a ton of stuff. And they also buffed it recently, where now the Primary Expertise not only gives pierce, but like for high pierce stuff, giving like +2 pierce wouldn't be like very helpful. It now gives high pierce stuff a % pierce buff now, so like 40% extra pierce, which is actually pretty nice. And so that can help out like stuff like the Glue late game or the Ice late game a ton. So I think because of that, where do I want to put it though? I think C tier makes sense for this. C tier, well, I was thinking D. I'll put in C. We'll put in C. C tier makes sense. Biggest one, Mortar. Okay, biggest one, Mortar. I'd say this is definitely the weakest 5th tier on the Mortar. Definitely has its uses for sure. Like, it's not bad. Can help you out a lot for round 22 all outs on a lot of maps as well. Pretty much hits the entire map. But late game, it doesn't do that much for you. Late game, the Blue Incineration and the Pop and All are really what you're trying to prioritize. You sometimes just get the biggest one later if you just have a ton of money and just want it. But it definitely gets outshined by the biggest one in Pop and All. But it's not bad. I think biggest one probably goes in D. Might go in C actually. Mortar has some pretty strong 5th tiers. Does it go in C? I think C makes sense. Grandmaster Ninja. Okay, Grandmaster Ninja is a pretty solid 5th tier. A lot of you guys would probably think I'm ranking this S, but I honestly don't think it deserves an S. And the reason is, if I'm thinking about the late game with Ninja Alchemist, guys, you're not that reliant on the Grandmaster Ninja. The Balloon Jitsus do a bunch of your damage. Like, I could probably defend, if I'm going late game with Ninja Alchemist, I can probably defend just as well putting money into Balloon Jitsus instead of Grandmaster Ninja. Now, obviously, eventually you run out of space for Balloon Jitsus, you definitely want the Grandmaster Ninja, but I don't think you're super reliant on it. And because of that, I can't rank it S tier. It's still a great upgrade nonetheless, and the Caltrops from it do pretty insane damage. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's S tier worthy. I don't think it's as good as the other S tiers. I think it's A tier worthy. Definitely can't sleep on the Grandmaster Ninja. Fantastic upgrade, but it's not up there with the S tier, guys. It's not up there. Cripple Moab. Okay, Cripple Moab is an interesting one. Pretty solid. I don't think it's as good as the other debuffs like the Super Riddle or the Super Glue, because not Super Riddle or the Glue Storm, because Cripple Moab only affects a small amount of the rush, right? Most of the time with Cripple Moab, you're going to be getting the Shrapnel Crosspath on it, and the way it works, it'll give you +5 damage on the main guy it's hitting, and then the ones affected by the Shrapnel. But late game, if they're sending you a ton of BADs, that's only going to be a couple of BADs. So even though it's +5 damage, which is more than the Super Riddle or the Glue Storm, it's not affecting it's not affecting a large part of the rush, which is the problem for you. So I can't give it the same rating. It's still definitely good late game, and in the meta, it works out pretty well for you because lots of times people go Ninja Alch Sniper, and the Cripple does help you out a ton. So I can't give it a bad rating, but I don't think it deserves an A. I think middle of B tier makes decent sense for this guy. Super Mines. Okay, Super Mines, pretty solid upgrade. I go for this a lot with Bulldog Spike Factory. I don't think it's as good as Flying Fortress. The thing about Super Mines versus Flying Fortress is Super Mines does have solid damage, but you need to build it up before they rush you, which is a big weak part. Like, actually, like a round or two before they rush you as well if you want to be super effective. So building up before they rush you is very, very bad because that does slow down your farm substantially, and then you have less money for late game because you have to like sell farms for it a lot of the time, and that's just not really what you want. It's not bad though by any means. It's expensive, but it can solo a lot of ZOMGs. It also can solo a fortified BAD a lot of the time if you have a strong pile going on. So because of that, I think just because of its pure strength, even with that caveat, I think I've got to give it B tier. I think it deserves a spot right near Carpet Spikes, to be honest. I think both of these are very similar strength, 5th tiers. True Sun God. Okay, True Sun God. Okay, buddy. Right now in Whole Masters, how good is the True Sun God, guys? I'll be honest, it's pretty bad. I still think it's better than Legends of Night and Anti-Balloon. I really do. I could see myself in some cases going for a True Sun God if I just have a ton of money, but I really still don't see myself going for Legends of Night or Anti-Balloon much at all. So I'm gonna put it in top of E tier, but it's not, it goes to F tier. Super Monkey just right now, guys, isn't that great in battles too. I mean, if you're in Bonanza mode, then True Sun God obviously fantastic, but like this tier, this is not for Bonanza mode. It's not for Bonanza mode. It's just it's for Whole Masters. So I can't really take Bonanza mode into my ratings. Inferno Ring. Okay, Inferno Ring is an upgrade that's gotten buffed a lot recently. Like, it's gotten a lot of buffs. It's getting damage buffs. I think it got a range buff or something every now and then. And because of that, all of the buffs it's been getting, guys, I am gonna put it in the flaming trash category. It's still garbage. I don't care. I don't care how many buffs you're getting this guy. It's still terrible. I've used it a couple times before. It pretty much does nothing for you. Especially with Taklu Village. Like, with Taklu Village, when I'm using Taxer to late game, it's just better to go for overdrives every single time. It's not good. Flaming trash category. I don't care. What is this? Archmage? Archmage is our last 5th tier of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, if you've gotten to this point of the video and you've enjoyed it, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe down below. I'd appreciate that a lot. I have a lot of fun making these tier lists. But Archmage, where do we put this guy? Honestly, the other 2 5th tiers on the Wizard are in C tier. And I think Archmage is the weakest of the 5th tiers, to be honest. Prince of Darkness you buy to help you out with DTs a ton. Archmage can help you out with DTs a ton, but Wizard Lord Phoenix, I think Archmage is worse. I don't think it's D tier worthy though. Maybe it is. I don't use Wizard enough to give a good good rating on these ones, I'm pretty sure. Maybe if I use Wizard more, I'd have a better rating, but I think we'll put it in C tier. C tier is fine for that. Yeah. C tier makes sense. Bottom of C tier, though. Bottom of C tier. All right, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look. See, wait, let me zoom it out real quick. take a look-see at my entire tier list. Give me your thoughts on it. In my opinion, Banana Essentials gotta be the best upgrade in the entire game. I think it's definitely outclasses Monkey Wolfie, Monkeyonomics, but these upgrades are close, dude. I'm telling you, these Ninja Alch upgrades and Home Defense is always gonna be up here as one of the best upgrades. And then you got some of them, the high tier upgrades like MAD, MAD, Avatar Wrath, Superstorm, which are very, very strong. The debuffs are great as well. And then the trash ones, sub 5th tiers have always been trash, guys. Submarine 5th tiers have always been trash. Tack Shooter 5th tiers for the most part have always been trash besides Super Maelstrom. Boomerang 5th tiers have been trash a lot. But they've buffed Mob Domination a ton, so Mob Domination's kind of not bad anymore. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed though, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm back out. Peace, lads. Thank you guys so much for watching.